Hi, I'm Alan Hall, AJH Synth here at Superbooth 24. Just saying hi to everyone on the Thomann channel, and I'd just like to give you the story on the Radiophonic synth for Hans Zimmer. Hans has used some of our mini-mod systems and synths for quite a few years now. Towards the end of last year, he got in touch with me with some quite exciting news. He's bought the Maida Vale studios, the BBC Maida Vale studios from the BBC, and one of his dreams is to recreate the original BBC Radiophonic workshop at its original location in the Maida Vale studios. And then after that he thought, well, I would like to have a new modular system for that, to follow in the footsteps of things like the EMS Synthi 100 Delaware system and the EMS VCS3, but brought into the 21st century, but it still kind of channels some of the features and the ethos of those early synths. So his original design brief really was that I just wanted something that that was uncompromised, completely uncompromised, and so we started working together, and what we eventually came up with was we came up with a huge system, and then we thought, well, the thing is that it won't just be Hans that uses this, it'll be other visitors and visiting musicians to the radiophonic workshop. And so we ended up with this particular layout, which is quite logical and easy to find your way around for someone that may not be as conversant with modular as Hans and obviously myself too. So if we go through the layout of the synth, it has two monophonic voices, but each of the monophonic voices is stereo, and the reason for this is that Hans particularly writes for cinema, and there's a huge spacing between the speakers, and all of that space Hans likes to use a huge stereo image. And so with this, with each of the voices, we have 3 VCOs, but instead of 1 VCF we have 2 VCFs, and we have 2 VCAs, and we have lots of envelopes. And obviously with it being modular, we can patch in and mix and match different filters. So we could patch a Gemini into the left-hand side of one voice, and a Sonic XV into the right-hand side. So the top section really is the audio path of the synth. And then one of the other things that he's very keen on is the ability to crossfade between filters and crossfade between voices and sounds. And so the triple cross module that we make plays quite a central, it's quite an important role it takes in this synth. So we can patch into that and crossfade and use it in crossfade on both voices, just to create some huge stereo sweeping soundscapes. So that's the audio path. And then on row 3 we have mostly modulation sources. So we have 2 complex LFOs, and then we have 2 dual LFOs. So we have 6 LFOs in total there. And then we have things like our dual RVG, sample and hold, multiburst envelopes, etc. And the bottom row we have modules like our next phase phaser, the entropic doom, noise oscillator, wave swarm, wave animator, Gemini dual filter, and fixed filter bank. So that was the configuration that we ended up with. And with one of the other things that again was very important was the row of multis, because now with Eurorack there's a big move towards using just flying multis or whatever, which just creates a spaghetti of patch cables. And Hans was very keen to have hardware multis, just to keep the number of patch cables under control, and to give a more logical layout to the synth. So at a glance it's much easier to work out how it's being patched, which he felt was very important as you get to larger systems like this. And And the design of the case, I showed Hans a picture of a VCS 3 style modular case that we had for another customer, and he was blown away by it because his first ever synth was an AMS VCS 3. And so he just said, well, if you can just make that and just expand it out into the form factor that would fit all of the modules that we need to get in there. And so that's how we landed up with this, with the lovely walnut and cherry wood custom-made case. So it was originally intended to be a one-off creation for Hans and the new Radiophonic workshop. But then he's very generous and said that he wouldn't. He would like us to be able to offer a limited number of them as well. So we have. We've decided to build a limited number of these. Each are individually numbered, and they're built to order, and we already have a waiting list for these particular ones, because we don't have a factory that churns them out. They're handmade, and obviously there's a lead time to it. So that in a nutshell is the story of the Radiophonic.